Hey guys, and welcome to Petrol, and welcome to the Hyundai i30N Performance. This car is much talked about at the moment, and the question I'm going to ask in this video is it as good as everybody says it is? Thanks to Hyundai UK, I've been driving this car for the last few days, and this is my video to give you my thoughts on whether I think the car's any good or not. Roll the titles. So let's start this review from the outside, because I think this press car is in an absolutely cracking colour. It's like a dark gun metallic grey. I think it's called Storm Grey. The front end is really aggressive. It's got a lovely red accent just underneath the splitter, and the front end just sets the car off really nicely. If we come around the side, this car's got 19-inch alloys. They are shod with Pirelli P0 tyres, which seem to do a pretty good job of keeping the car on the road, to be fair. And then down the side sill there's like a plastic accent with a little N logo on the side, which I think looks really nice. But for me, the best bit about this car is the rear view. This rear view, if you come round, it's got a really cool spoiler just above the rear windscreen. You've got twin exit exhaust, which look really smart. So it's just a really cool car from the outside, and I think that's where the good news starts. From the looks point of view, it's subtle but aggressive, and that's a really difficult thing to get right. But I think for many people, the problem with this car is going to start with this badge. And the question is, for the brand snobs out there especially, is this car good enough to get over people's reservations about the Hyundai badge? Is it good enough for me to think, actually, rather than buying a VW Golf GTI, I'd buy a Hyundai i30N? So, to answer that question properly, I think we need to jump inside the car and have a look at the interior, because I think that's where the problems may start. So, welcome to the cabin of the i30N. Now, it's no Audi or VW interior in here, and my expectation was that there'd be quite a lot of plastic. The price point of this car and the performance of this car, you've got to have a compromise somewhere, and for me it's the internal materials. Unfortunately, this dashboard and kind of surround is made of plastic. The door trims, all of the door trims are plastic, and that's not a luxury place. However, it's not as bad as you might think. The other thing that's a little bit of a worry in here, and they are set up for performance, but these seats, whilst they give a lot of support, they've got high bolsters, they've got high sides, they're kind of nice bucket style seats. They are quite firm, and coupled with a firm ride on a longer journey, you know, after a couple of hours you're likely to get a bit of a numb bum. But I don't want to be down on this car too much, because there is some very good news in here, and it all starts with that and that. So the good news starts with the tech in this car. It's a pretty highly spec'd car. We'll talk about spec and price in a moment, but it has a lot of stuff as standard. First things first, it supports Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. If you've seen my living with video, really easy to set up. There's a wireless charging pad down there for your phone. There's a USB and aux port down there, a couple of 12-volt charging ports down there, so plenty of places to connect stuff. I've got steering wheel mounted cruise control. I've got adaptive lane assist, which kind of keeps you in lane, which is really cool, hands-on feature. And I've just got all the things that you would expect to kind of take this car up to the level of equipment. The stereo's pretty good. You can stream music from your phone really, really easily. So from a tech point of view, really, really nice. And even though the materials on the dashboard are plasticky and not great, everything you touch in this car, like the steering wheel and the gear knob, they just feel nice. So this steering wheel's got a really nice feel to it. I'm not a big fan, if I must say, of the colour that they've chosen for the buttons for the drive mode and so on. But let's have a chat about the different drive modes in this car, because it's really when you start to understand those, and then we can take it out on the road, you understand where this car really comes into its own. So let's have a chat about the drive modes. If I can just get them up on the screen here. I've got 3 drive modes in this car: normal, sport and eco. If you have a look at my video I'd put up on Monday, I talk about the kind of differences with the eco mode. Doesn't really provide as much fuel economy as you would think. Sport mode is probably the mode I would drive this car in the most. And then what you've also got, once you're in, if you, let's say for example, go into sport mode, I can also put it in N mode, which sharpens everything up. That basically gives you maximum response for engine, for the diff, for the suspension, for the exhaust, and turns it into a really, really super little sports car. If you put it into a mode that they call custom, you can basically, in custom, set up engine, you can set up rev matching, the limited slip diff and the exhaust sound, and you can customize that however you want. For me, the best way to set that up, and certainly the way I've been driving the car the most, is to have everything set to sport, so all the powertrain set to sport. And if you go into chassis, you've got an option to set the suspension to normal, and that works really, really nicely. And it gives you a bit more of a compliant suspension ride, but all of the performance and all of the noise. So really easy to use, really easy to set up. I really, really like that from gives you some options in the car. What I would say, and this isn't just a Hyundai thing, this is lots of different cars, once you've set that up, for me, if I want to have it in that custom mode, leave it in the custom mode. What happens is you switch the car off, and then the next time you switch the car back on again, it goes back to normal settings, and you have to go in and select custom mode. And that drives me insane. For me, manufacturers, if you set it in sport or individual or dynamic or however the manufacturer refers to it, leave it like that as a default. Next time you switch the car on, that's how I want to drive it. If I want to change it, I'll select it back. And that just winds me up. Anyway, rant over. That's just one of those little things that really, really gets my goat. So that's how I've been driving the car. Let's have a jump in the back and just have a think about rear legroom and space, and especially boot space. Now, it isn't massive in here. Driver seat set to where I would normally have it, so it's quite a long way back. There's okay space, but it's not huge, but it is a small hatchback. So would I want to sit in here for a long journey? Probably not, but I'd much rather sit in that seat and be doing the driving, to be honest. And then these seats fold down to give access to more luggage space in the boot. So let's jump around the back and have a look in the boot and just talk about potential minor issue. Okay, so let's just pop the boot open. Now there's plenty of space in here. The minor issue, and whether it is for many people, there is a strut brace that goes across between both wheel arches. So if you were to drop one of the seats, that strut brace might block you from putting things in lengthways. Clearly that seat will drop down if I move the front seats forward a little bit. Okay, so let's summarise then. Great looks from the outside, a kind of subtle yet aggressive combination, difficult to pull off. Interior plastics aren't great. Dashboard and doors for me are a bit disappointing. The seats look great, provide support, but they are quite firm, and coupled with a firm ride on a long journey can be a little bit uncomfortable. Rear passenger room is okay. It's a hatchback. I didn't expect massive amounts of room. You can certainly get a couple of adults in there. And rear boot space is very good, although that strut brace might obscure larger things that you might want to put in the back of the car. So far so good. But it's really what happens under this bonnet where this car starts to get exciting for me. So what we've got here is a 4-cylinder, 2-litre, twin-scroll turbo petrol engine. It generates 275 PS, 353 Newton meters of torque. But it's how it delivers that and the characteristics it gives you. This thing sounds mega. If you have it in the sports exhaust settings, so in either N or the custom settings with sport switched on, it just sounds brilliant. It pops on the upshift. It's a very responsive engine. And I think that's where this car starts to really come into its own. It's not quite got the horsepower of some of its rivals. It's not as powerful as a Civic Type R or a Golf R or a Ford Focus RS, but for the money, it starts to tick a lot of boxes. Now this press car, let's just talk about cost and so on. This press car is about £28,500. It's very highly spec'd. You can spec one for a little bit less than that. It comes with a 5-year unlimited mileage warranty, which is really impressive. You don't get that from a lot of the German rivals, that's for sure. And performance-wise, it'll do 0 to 60 in about 6.1 seconds, 155 mile/hour top speed. So it's in that very super competitive hot hatch market, lining up against things like a Golf GTI. And you might well look at the badge on the front and think, oh, it's a Hyundai, I can't get past that. Now the thing that's going to get you past that, if anything will, if the looks haven't done so already, because I've had quite a few people reach out to me since I've had this car and say, look, it looks fantastic. The thing that will maybe start to persuade you that this is a car you would want to buy is how it drives. So I think the next thing we have to do is get behind the wheel and take it up the road for a drive, because it's an absolute cracker. It puts a big smile on your face. So out on the open road, this car for me starts to sing. It comes alive. It just has so much character, and that character starts with that engine and that exhaust. On acceleration, it's got a really throaty grumble to it, but in first, second and third gear, as you change up, you get these cracks coming out the back of the car, and it just sounds mega. And then if you can go into the drive settings and set up in custom, you can set it to rev match for you. And that means when you come into a corner and you start changing down the gears, it revs the engine to let you accept the lower gear earlier, and it just sounds brilliant, and it just puts a big smile on your face. Now, I'm trying to think about how best to describe the driving dynamics of this car, and I'm about to give it a massive compliment. It reminds me very much of the new Honda Civic Type R. There's a couple of things. First of all, the gearbox in this car isn't nearly as good as the Honda. The Honda's gearbox, that 6-speed manual in that Honda Civic, is just brilliant. This is good. It takes a bit of getting used to. Sometimes 6th is a bit difficult to get into. So gearbox is good, but the kind of poise on the road, the steering feel, the firmness of the suspension, very Type R-esque. But the one thing this has over the Type R is this makes a noise, a really good one as well. And it puts this smile on your face. And that's that little bit of je ne sais quoi that the Type R for me was missing. Pop at the back, but then this is what I need to talk about. Again, if you've seen my Living With video, I talk about this. In damp conditions, when you really accelerate hard in first and second gear, the front end of this car skips up and down. And I just don't think that's good. I find it difficult to believe that a car can come through development and somebody not realise that's the case and do something about it. In the dry, it doesn't happen. The car gets the grip and it accelerates away. But that skipping, for me, that's really not good. So let's put that to one side and just rev match, and again another pop and a bang. So through a slightly more open road, bit more flow, it just feels ace, this car. But on a nice open B road, it just makes you... now the nice thing is, it's quick, but it's not too quick. And what I mean by that is, you can really drive it hard, you can rev the gears out, you can get those pops and bangs, but you don't end up coming into a corner at a gazillion miles an hour. And I like that because it means you can exploit the car. Don't get me wrong, you're still going to have to keep an eye on the speedo because you can still break the speed limit in this car really, really easily. But, you know, if you compare it to some you know, really, really quick cars, even in something like a Focus RS or an AMG A45, those cars are so fast that you have to be really wary. This is quick, but not mega quick. And that's a good thing. Might not sound like a good thing, but it is a good thing because you can really drive the car hard and not be going too stupidly quickly. The other thing that I really like, I love this N mode screen on the main dash. It kind of can show you things like G-force and torque and power. You've got shift up lights, which just add to that sporty feel. But it's when you get it out on a bit of open road and the noise, and it's a really good little car to drive. So does this car match up to its rivals? That's a really difficult question. 28.5 grand is still a lot of money, but you do get a lot for your money. There's lots of tech on here. There's lots of the kind of driver aids that you would expect in a higher premium car. The internal feel is just a little bit of Alcantara or leather away from being much, much better. And I understand you need to kind of use plastics and things, but it could have just been a bit better. So it's so close. What I really need to do, I haven't driven the new Golf GTI, so I can't give an out-and-out definite it's better than a Golf GTI. What I would say is, man, is it good? I mean, we're talking about a really good little car here. It has its faults, but on the whole, it just sounds great. It puts a big... Who's not going to want that? I'm just doing that all the time. Yeah, it turns you into an instant child, this car. But before I make my final decision, there is one more test that we need to do. One more bit of road that we need to drive this car up, just to test its front wheel drive power delivery. And that's the Petrol Ped Hill Climb. Into the Petrol Ped Hill Climb. Damp road surface today. So we're going to get a little bit of understeer, I would imagine. Staying in third to this one. Oh, it's got some poise and some manners, this thing. It really does. It sticks to that front end really nicely. Come on then, baby. Yes. Yeah, this thing goes around corners so well. And then when you get to the corner, bit of rev matching on the downshift. It's very rare on one of my tests I get an uninterrupted drive up the Petrol Ped Hill Climb. Well, that was impressive. So, my final thoughts on this car are really interesting. I'm loving these new manufacturers that are kind of pushing our preconceptions of them. I found it when I drove the Kia Stinger, and I found it when I've driven this car. They are cars. I drove an i30 hire car about 3 or 4 years ago, and I remember being impressed by the drive and everything. But as a brand, it's not one I've ever resonated with. And what I love about this car is it delivers all the things I want in a car. It's a really lovely car to drive. Audibly, it kind of ticks all my boxes. It sounds great. It's got all the toys I want on it. I can connect my phone. I've got great sat nav. I've got, you know, cruise control and lane assistance and auto lights and wipers. All the things you'd expect, but not at the sort of £35,000–40,000 premium. And I like that. Whether, me personally, whether I could get over the badge on the front, I don't know, it's a really difficult one. You look at some brands like Skoda, I always think about them, you know, 20, 30 years ago, they were a joke as a brand, and now they produce amazing cars. So I think you really do need to look beyond the badge in this car. You need to drive one. I think they look fantastic. I've certainly had lots of admiring glances while I've had this car. Lots of people come up and talk to me about it. So it's certainly a car I would recommend for you to, if you're interested, you need to drive one, because for me, this car is all about the driving. It has its faults, but the good things about this car make up for those faults in heaps and spades, and I'm very, very impressed with it as a car. And yes, I would consider owning one for sure, just not sure there's a kind of space for it in my garage, as it were. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have done so, give me a thumbs up. Comments below are always welcome, and if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to Petrol for plenty more content to come. And I'll see you on the next film, guys. Anyway, you take care. Drive safe.